Joining us now, we got him for about 7 minutes, Rick Tyler. Rick Tyler is the former communications director for the Ted Cruz for President campaign. Did a fabulous job there and was also a spokesperson for the Newt Gingrich campaign for president in 2012. By the way, when Gingrich got out to speak last night as the party elder statesman, I was reminded in 3 minutes why I've been for Newt Gingrich for 40 years. The guy's just the best. Rick, good to have you with us, man. Rick Tyler, you work for Ted Cruz. Look, he gets invited last night, primetime spot, very gracious by Mr. Trump. I thought he made a great speech, but then no endorsement at the end, and all hell breaks loose. What's the deal here?
Well, first of all, John, and thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. But the speech was slotted for 12 minutes. Then the Trump campaign moved it to 20 minutes. He went over to 21 minutes, and that was only because he was interrupted so many times by applause. He told Donald Trump in a face-to-face meeting in Washington, D.C. that he was not going to endorse him. As recently as 3 days ago, he said he was not going to endorse him. The campaign received his text late yesterday afternoon after reviewing an initial copy, and they approved it, and Donald Trump said he liked the speech. In fact, I think it was one of the most substantive speeches that I've heard. It was sort of one of the more grown-up speeches that I've heard since I've been at the convention here. And what I think Cruz did effectively was connect the party to its roots, and this is a party of freedom. And when we have more government, we have less freedom. And Ted Cruz prosecuted that case, and I thought he did it very, very well. Now, some people were upset, and I think that Manafort and others had orchestrated the booze. They clearly did. They knew he wasn't going to endorse, and I don't know what the point of that was, John, because this convention from a news coverage standard really has been a disaster. It was started with Melania's lifted passages from Michelle Obama's 2008 convention speech. And now what are we going to talk about all day long? Is Cruz giving a good speech at convention but not full-throatedly endorsing Donald Trump? By the way, if you listen to Paul Ryan introduce Mike Pence last night, that was a full-throated endorsement of Mike Pence. And Donald Trump didn't receive a full-throated endorsement like that from the speaker.
Well, look, I guess what bothers a lot of people, Rick, and I hear what you're saying, and I agree with you. I thought it was a great speech. Many of us very disappointed that he simply didn't say, look, I'm voting for Donald Trump because we have a binary choice, and it's either him or Clinton, and I don't think Clinton's a good idea. I mean, that's basically all he had to say. But I think what bothered a lot of us also, Rick, is the fact that, there were 17 candidates in this race, and they all signed a pledge. The reason you sign the pledge before you get deep into it is because things unravel. People send tweets, get mad. You're, fighting for the nomination, that you say things that then you have to figure out how to get people together later. But he signed the pledge, as did everybody else. Those that signed the pledge that didn't want to endorse Trump, they didn't show up. Jeb Bush, John Kasich, whatever. I mean, he signed the pledge. He's on the stage. He gets prime time. He gets 20 minutes, which I thought from Donald Trump was very gracious. And then, why not just say, look, we have a choice and vote your conscience, but it's unconscionable to vote for Hillary Clinton. I mean, that's all he had to say.
I've heard that message over and over again, and I heard that prosecuted by Chris Christie the other day, and it just doesn't wash with me. And the reason is, if the biggest message coming out of Cleveland tonight, and hopefully Trump can turn this around. I don't know that he can, but if he can, if he can't, the biggest message that's coming out of Cleveland is that, you may not like Donald Trump, he may not be everything you like, but he's not Hillary Clinton. That is not a winning strategy. That's not a winning message. And if that is our principal message, we're going to lose.
Well, look, Rick, I know we're on opposite sides of this, and I respect you a lot. You know that, Rick.
You're a good friend.
Yes, and I also defended you when you got fired by Cruz over basically you didn't do anything wrong. So that certainly made me mad. It's just my own perspective. I thought you were the best thing the Cruz campaign had when you were there, and you did a fabulous job. So we're not on the same page on this. But look, I think this is a movement. I don't think the boos last night were orchestrated by anybody, Rick. I mean, I'm in the Virginia delegation. I'm on the floor. I'm the vice chair of the Trump campaign of Virginia. Nobody told us to boo. There were no talking points on it. That was organic. I think a lot of us, regardless of what was said, I think a lot of us thought that Ted Cruz was going to do the right thing. And, we'll hear what Trump has to say tonight, but I really think Ted missed an opportunity to bring people together the way your former boss Newt Gingrich did. I mean, look at the difference when Gingrich got on and how his message was so unifying and different than Cruz's. And I'll tell you the other thing, Rick.
I agree with that. Gingrich. Gingrich is a master. We both agree on that. He had a very sobering speech, and he did unify not only the convention, but I think people watching is that we are at a real war with radical Islamic terrorism, something that this administration has refused to acknowledge. But I don't think it's incumbent upon Ted Cruz to unify the party. It's incumbent upon Donald Trump to unify the party. And when you have a nominee who's currently at war with the Republican governor of Ohio, which he will need to win, and he's done nothing to sort of mend that relationship, and he's still at odds with Ted Cruz and hasn't endorsed him. And then Nikki Haley was asked 3 times by Jacob Soboroff, a colleague of mine with NBC News, 3 times if she would endorse Donald Trump. She demurred. She would not say whether she would endorse him or not. So this party is not united, but it's incumbent upon Donald Trump's leadership to unite the party, and he could have gotten Ted Cruz's endorsement. He would have had to show some contrition about implicating his father in JFK's assassination, which was absurd, and his attacks on his wife. And Donald Trump should know today or yesterday, how hurtful it is when people attack your wife.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, listen, 2 wrongs don't make a right. I do hear what you're saying, Rick. That's why I wanted to get your perspective on it, and I respect it. But look, 2 wrongs don't make a right. This is a movement. As far as Kasich is concerned, I mean, that's beyond problem there, Rick, is beyond repair because they don't agree on Trump's core issues, trade, immigration, things like that, ISIS. They don't agree, so there's nowhere to go with that. That's just dead in the water. He's going to have to win Ohio without him. Rick, I know you have to take off. We're out of time. Thanks for sharing your perspective. I really appreciate it.